Welcome to CFO Squared, hosted by Karl Baker, with Baker's CFO Advisory conversations for business owners focused on growth, structure, cash flow, and building stronger businesses. Today's episode starts now.
You as a business owner, you have the responsibility to set the tone and the culture of your business. When I was an auditor, I was a corporate auditor for 25 years. We would follow auditing standards, and those auditing standards, that's not a really interesting sounding story, but I'm telling a story that really resonated with me over my career as I converted from being a auditor to being a CFO consultant and business leader and business coach. So back to the story. When I was an auditor, we followed audit standards, and those audit standards required us to perform certain procedures. We had procedures that we performed in planning, during field work, at the end, and we had these procedures and standards that we had to follow. One of those standards was to evaluate the client that we're auditing, evaluate their tone at the top, evaluate the leadership's tone, the culture setting. And it never really resonated with me as an auditor until I'll say it a different way. It started to resonate with me in a more resounding way when I became a fractional CFO, when I started sitting, quote, on the other side of the table, when I started working alongside business owners, leaders, when I wasn't their corporate auditor, when I wasn't there to find mistakes and to evaluate their financial reporting, but when I was there to help them in their business as a fractional or interim CFO, the concept of tone at the top really hit home more so than it ever did when I was an auditor. And it made me understand why, as auditors, we needed to understand the tone at the top. What is leadership conveying to the staff, to the clientele, to vendors? What sort of culture is being set by the leadership? And it made me understand more than ever. And I've been doing this aspect of my career, the non-auditing aspect, for going on 9 or 10 years now. And it really made me understand the concept and the importance of tone at the top and culture setting. Hello, my name's Karl Baker. I own Baker CFO Advisory. We are an accounting firm providing accounting, tax, bookkeeping, advisory work, fractional CFO work, and we're continuing our series on ways to help business owners with their business. Why is a accountant? I'm a licensed CPA. Why? And you just heard me say I'm a former auditor. Why am I talking about culture? Why are we not talking about debits, credits, taxes, financial reporting? Because none of that matters if an organization isn't successful. One of the keys to being successful is establishing a good business structure, and that is done through having good leadership. And leadership then will direct the tone and the culture of the organization. What sort of organization are you going to set? So I think it's important to talk about this, and there won't be a lot of accounting with this. And if we want to do that, we can do that in another session. But as we talk about ways to be successful, I wanted to talk about that. Plus, the reality is I'm working with a lot of closely held businesses, and they're not necessarily spending thousands of dollars on business coaches. I oftentimes am sort of serving in that role with a business owner or a CEO. So I enjoy that, embrace it, and just want to convey some of the things that I've learned as I've worked with businesses over the last 34 years. So that's why we're doing this, and hopefully it will make some sense to you. Thanks for joining us. And again, thanks. I'll just say it again. Thank you for joining us. Subscribe to our channel. Like this page. That would really be appreciated and would really help with our following. So please do that. And let's go ahead and get started now. If you have a business, this is really true. If you have a business, and I referenced this, I think, in the last time. If you have a business, you have a culture. Whether you know it or not, whether you've set it intentionally or not, whether you have overtly expressed your views on the way the business is going to run or not, whether you've done any of those things, you have a culture. Your staff members are going to follow your lead. Your clients are going to, and customer base, they're going to follow your lead. They're going to understand whether you are predictable, whether you are reliable, whether you do what you say you're going to do, and all of those things, whether it be from your clientele, your customer base, your vendors, do you pay your bills on time, your staff members, are you adding good mentoring, good processes? All of those things contribute to your overall culture. So I come back to, you have a culture. Is the culture that you're setting intentional or accidental? And I think that's really important to understand. If you understand that, and if you care, which I'm sure you do, then hopefully, and if you recognize some things, some shortfalls, we're all human, we all fall short, but we continue.
Thanks for listening to CFO Squared, hosted by Karl Baker with Baker's CFO Advisory. If you found this episode valuable, be sure to subscribe and share it with someone who would benefit from the conversation. We'll see you in the next episode.